All right, Will Hudson, Graham Bollinger here, yeah. Back with a new rebranding of the podcast, formerly known as Realty Check. We have now become, we've reached God status in my mind. I think we've ascended to information brokers. That's because that's what we are, right? We're information brokers. We're going to be talking about, just to kind of rehash what this podcast is all about. It's not much different than the first iteration, but I think we're going to be even going harder into the paint. We're going to be unfiltered. We're going to have real opinions. We are real people, and I think that a lot of people in this podcasting space tend to kind of water things down a bit because they're afraid to come off unprofessionally. We're not afraid. We have no fear of being unprofessional. I have no fear. Do you fear?
No fear.
Okay, no fear. What about you, Jeffrey? Young Jeffrey?
Nothing.
Back on the mic. Going hard in the paint, brothers. All right. Welcome back. That was a little loud. It got a little loud. That's right. It's
welcome back.
Right back to where we started. Guys, welcome to the program. Really glad to be back, and we're gonna kick this sucker off like we have in the past, especially since this is our first episode back from the rebranding, and we're gonna tap into some Eagle Rare, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that? Let's pour it up. Let's get it done. We got to get it going. This is an incredible bourbon out of the same distillery that Blanton's is made, Buffalo Trace.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know
you didn't know that? Yeah.
No.
Buffalo Trace. Watch, there's an awesome documentary on Netflix about bourbon. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe we can Google that. But it's really awesome. I knew that before I watched the doc, but yeah, dude, like it's actually pretty rare. I've been able to get my hands on it easier than Blanton's, though, I can tell you that.
Yes, I believe it's called Neat. Is it Neat? The Story of Bourbon?
I think that might be it. I'm not totally sure.
Yes,
but
it
yeah.
is.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's pass this around.
Pour it up.
Boom, boom.
Good, bud.
Give Jeffrey a little shot of that.
Yep.
All right, let's cheers this thing
Cheers,
the right
guys.
way. Let's get it kicked off. Today's episode. After we do the cheers, I'll tell you that.
That's good.
Yeah, that's smooth.
Yes. Smooth
as silk.
Very
I like
nice.
it. All right, we're gonna keep that in arm's reach. It's probably the most important. I almost called it a person, but that's the most important attendee here is the bottle of bourbon. Guys, today let's get to it. We're gonna talk about Graham and I. Jeff, you just learned this right before the show, but we went to the conference 121, which is the annual shindig that corporate of Century 21 puts on every year. And it's a conglomeration of a lot of agents, a lot of office owners, brokers, corporate folks. It's just like the entire brand converging on one location. It was held down there at was it Rosen Shingle Creek, yeah. Rosen Shingle Creek Golf Club or Golf Resort. So it was cool. Other than getting blasted into submission on the golf course while we were there, which we won't talk about that.
The one thing you said you wouldn't.
I can't help it. I can't, in good
Right
conscience, have a podcast about like being straight up without saying that we just got absolutely dealt with. Either way, we're going to talk about like our experience, like our takeaways from it, unfiltered, uncensored, essentially. Like, if I thought it was dumb, like portions of it, I'm going to tell you. And I thought there were some dumb parts, but I mean, overall, I thought I had a really great experience. I thought it was pretty awesome overall. I mean, when I say dumb, I don't know if I'm trying. Well, there's one thing that I'm going to hit on that I told you about, but yeah. So let's get into it. I mean, I want to start with Graham. Like, this is your second year in the business, full year.
Yep.
You've never been to one of these corporate events. I've been in the corporate world where they've had these types of events in the past that were outside, the confines of the real estate industry. For you, I want to get like a virgin's viewpoint of this in terms of this type of deal. What were your initial thoughts like when you got there? What did you expect? How was it maybe different than you expected? Let's start there.
Yeah. So I knew these things were networking heavy, right? But far different expectations going in to what the reality was. right? So I told you, I think I made the joke a couple times. I really thought that I would be in classes the whole time.
Nope.
Yeah, I was all set. I was, got my notebook ready. I was ready to be in classes. I don't know how many classes there were. Maybe what do you think, 10 a day? Somewhere in that range?
I have no clue.
I don't either. Well,
I remember seeing the itinerary before we left, and I was like, well, yeah, I won't attend almost any of these.
Yeah, so...
real quick, I want to preface this. I've only had one sip, I promise. I want to preface this with saying, it wasn't that I thought the classes were. This is no knock on people teaching classes or the content or anything like that. I don't know because I didn't attend them. I had gone there with a completely different objective than you. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're also at different stages of our careers too, right? Like yours is more networking. Mine's more like early on career learning. So I like I said, I kind of thought that I would be in classes the entire time. To the point we were in Florida, I didn't bring a swimsuit. I didn't bring anything, right? I didn't bring flip-flops. All I brought were suits and one t-shirt.
So it was blatantly obvious that you had never been there.
No, I'd never been to anything like it. Yeah. So, I would say there were around 10 classes a day. We went to 3 total on a 4-day trip. I did. I don't know how many you went to.
2.
Yeah. So, got you beat. But yeah, I mean, met a lot of good people, which turned out to be a good thing. I would say a lot of that information that was passed around was stuff that I had already been working on. It's a good refresher, obviously, but the true value of that thing was the relationships that I made.
Yeah, I mean, I had been to one in the real estate industry back in October. I went to the Rise thing. I met a lot of great people out there. So if you notice, when I showed up, I already knew several people, which was really cool. So I was really glad that I got that experience. But you're right. And I don't necessarily know if it's, I think obviously you go in as a newer agent, you're really going to get something out of a lot of these classes. A lot of these classes, I've either heard that particular agent or broker's material previously, and I know exactly what they're going to do. And I even actually talked to Terry before we got down there and was like, is there anything I have to miss? And his thing was like, well, let's convene when we get down there, and that quickly devolved into an absolute shit show. That conversation absolutely did not happen. But I did have 2 classes picked out that I absolutely wanted to go to. One was Stephen Votino's, who is quickly becoming one of my closest friends in the real estate world. He is the owner of, I think it's Triangle.
Yeah,
I think that's the name of it, right? Yeah. So we're really close, but I have no idea what his brokerage name is. He's located in North Carolina. I think he owns 3 offices now up there. Really great guy. We connect on a business level because we're both very, very online lead driven. And I wouldn't say that that's his bread and butter per se, but he's real good at it. In fact, he's at the Rise program. He's recognized as one of the top, brokers / team leaders that can, has a high conversion team that he trained, and he knows all the algorithmic language that you need to speak in order to manipulate these online lead sources to get the best results and the most quantity of leads coming through. So, we connect on that level business-wise, but his class was negotiation, which, I'll kind of go into that a little bit. But, the other one was Greg Harrelson. Greg Harrelson's incredibly unique. I like to think that I'm aggressive, and he doesn't really, I've never been in a negotiation with him. So I think there is a level of high aggression with his strategy, but he said it best in his class when he started out. He's high confrontation. This guy doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. Even in his opening monologue where he was talking about, because his whole thing was listings, that's what their whole machine is built on. And I'll go into what his machine is, because I've actually looked under the hood. There's certain things I cannot say, and I won't, about his system, because it was told to me in confidentiality a couple of years ago when I was on site at his place. But overall, it's interesting, Jeff. You get a unique perspective, because I have a totally different outlook, and I teach a totally different way of doing things where I'm like, hey, if I can get someone to like me, that's 95% of what I need to do. They'll do business with me, right?
Yep.
And that's, I'd say, the majority of the industry, takes that tack, that angle to, it's a positive, it creates a positive experience for both parties, you and the client, when that happens. He doesn't give a damn. Like, he's like, yeah, if you don't like me, you don't have to. Like, I'm here to do a job, and what really matters is the results that I provide to you, and how I get them done, and how I convey my message, and how I make it happen for you as a consumer. And like, he challenges people, like he pushes back against them, and that's not a tact that overwhelming majority of people take. I mean, so I already know a lot of his listing material. Me and you have a lot of their scripts already. That was derivative of my experience with him in the past, and how I've been pretty upfront about how I run things and how I come up with things, and I'll have a unique idea here and there, but the majority of my material is like the best parts of everybody else's. That's like
R&D,
already making millions of dollars. Like, why? I mean, come on, dude. Like, I'm not gonna outthink. Like, that strategy is solid, right? Already. So that's kind of the tact I take anyway. But again, it's not my cup of tea in terms of how I interact with clients and how I approach negotiations and things. I could turn that on, I can, and I do, but that's typically safe for high leverage negotiations where it takes that level of aggressiveness to get something done.
Right.
But so that was my takeaway. Was mainly like, wow, it'd been a long time since I've been around Greg, and the way that he goes about doing things and just his overall personality. I haven't been exposed to that in a very long time. And I was like, wow, holy crap. I remember that. I remember being, instantly like, wow, this is totally different than anything that you normally see in terms of how somebody does something.
Yeah.
To circle back around to Steven, and the overarching thing before I start getting into their material and stuff that like really had an impact on me, I want to talk about like what we initially started with, which was you discussing like what you anticipated. I didn't have any expectations other than that I'm probably going to be on a 5-day freaking bender with my liver screaming mercy and begging for help from anywhere it could get it.
And it exceeded expectations.
No, I mean, if you hear my voice right now, this is direct aftermath. I don't have this naturally sexy, gravelly, gravitas type voice drawing people in. Like, I mean, I might just have to go on a 5-day bender before every podcast, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of women that are totally into this podcast now that I sound like I've got this extra heft behind my voice. Maybe not. I'm just pulling that in. But no, in seriousness, like, this is a direct result of 5 straight days of networking for I don't know, 19 hours a day.
And we've been back like 3 or 4 days now.
I was going to say it's at least been what, almost a week.
I look like a Vietnam vet when I came back. I was like, limping around like I just, Charlie just, had me pinned down for 6 months in the jungle. Like, no, dude, I was hurting. I was in the hurt locker, dude.
Oh man.
But no, in all seriousness, like so, going there, and again, there is a lot of that. Like, I mean, come on, you're at a conference. And even in the corporate world, I mean, that's what it was mainly. I mean, early on, yeah, you're going there for classes, you're trying to learn these things or whatever. But I can tell you this, just from a podcast standpoint, Steven's already committed to the podcast.
Yep.
I got Rhett from Novus.
Yep.
Coming on, who's going to be a guest in his video.
And his videographer, John.
John, what is John's last name again? I want to get that right and plug him.
Oh man, hold on. Let me find it.
Pull him up, because I want to plug his company, since he's like, both of them, him and Rhett, have decided to come on as well. But Rhett's like heavy and hard into video content creation, so we're going to have a podcast devoted to that. That would not have happened. I would not have gotten them to agree to come on to the show here in the coming weeks had I not been there. Steven Votino is going to fly in from North Carolina.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We're going to talk about a lot of online lead gen stuff with him, how he's doing, his systems. I think a lot of things too, like that I'm going to touch on with these two, because Rhett owns the brokerage out there in Carrollton. Steven obviously owns multiple branches in North Carolina. I think something that we're going to get into with them is going to be, how in the hell did you get there? A lot of people that start out as agents like myself, I want to see if they had a similar path. Did they have a mentor like Terry that essentially helped them, get in a position, or help them realize they even wanted to be in that position in the first place. Because I think without Terry, I'd still be perfectly fine just being an independent agent.
John Schiller Paul.
John
I think he has
Paul.
Schiller
Does it go through
Productions.
He doesn't.
I think it's Schiller Productions.
Okay, Schiller Productions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I hope we're plugging the right thing, John. Does he go by? He doesn't go by John Schiller Jones.
But his last name is Paul from his Facebook.
So
Paul.
what? I'm so confused.
His name says John Schiller Paul, but I think it's Schiller Productions.
John Paul.
Yeah.
John Paul with Schiller Productions.
Yeah.
All right. We probably just butchered the shit out of
Sorry,
that.
John.
Right. John, you're incredible at what you do, and you'll be able to plug it. I'll let you plug it through. He can pause us every 3 minutes during conversation and be like, yo, and then say whatever his production
He can take
called.
as much time as we're taking on this to plug himself.
That's right. Exactly. Maybe just make this the rest of the hour, hey, let's just talk about how we could butcher this guy's his plug. So anyway, I mean, getting back to that, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but going back into what to expect, I was there purely I already had some meetings set up with people, high-level meetings prior to getting there that were kind of set up on my behalf, really talking about something that is things that had nothing to do with the conference, but it was overarching networking, and then just reaffirming relationships we had. I really wanted you to kind of experience that as well, because look, one of the major things you don't think about going to these things is the real draw is that people interaction. But even as an individual agent that doesn't have to have high-level meetings and stuff to accomplish a networking goal, you can meet people from all across the country that eventually will run into somebody that needs to buy or sell in North Georgia or South Georgia, wherever you are.
All over the world. I met a guy from Taiwan.
Worldwide.
Yeah, man.
Prestige. Worldwide.
Prestige. If I get sued for that.
Can we get sued for that, Jeff?
No.
Okay.
I don't
It'd be a whole lot
no.
cooler if we could.
We can get some boats and hose shirts.
Oh,
see, you have one.
See, already I do have one.
Yeah, you do have one.
No, it's that Christmas sweater.
That's right.
So anyway, I think the networking is the main thing. And that is, I'll tell you this, the way that they section off, the venue itself was okay. It was all right. Let's be real. Everybody was there. If I speak to it being man, it was incredible, they're going to know that we're full of shit. It was okay. I wasn't my socks weren't knocked off by the venue.
It was massive.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It did have the feel of a Vegas casino. I think the grounds are the size of it. The course is great. But people that weren't involved with the golf aspect of it, I'm not really sure what they thought. I'd love to have somebody in at some point and ask them that. Pool is cool, I guess. Restaurants were on site, so you could stay there, do your thing, whatever, and then get back to your classes or networking or drinking or all of it, whatever. As in terms of the location, it was solid. I just think that being able to facilitate those relationships is really where the value is there.
Yep, I agree.
So fire away, man, because you didn't even know about this event before we jumped on this podcast, and I kind of like that because I was like, hey, ask questions. Do you have any questions for somebody? Because there's going to be people listening to this that have never been, and there's going to be people that have been and know exactly what we're talking about. Do you have any questions that somebody from a standpoint that had never been that you might want to ask us?
So when you guys went there, what kind of classes were they offering? Because you were saying there were 10, some odd classes a day. What were some of those?
Yeah, so a lot of them were, pull up the itinerary if you can. You've got it on the phone.
Let's see.
Yeah, for instance, Greg Harrelson's class was listings driven. This thing was 4 hours long. There's a lot of content there. I was there for about the first hour and a half. Mm-hmm. I bounced though because I've literally done this with him in a face-to-face manner in a lot of ways. I know a lot of their systems. In fact, a lot of our scripting, a lot of my methodology, which we'll get into how we are similar if we have time today. How our systems are similar to his. Because I took a lot from him. He's one of my. To be honest with you, he's probably, other than Terry, he's probably my singular. Not a lot of people know this. He's probably my singular largest influence in this business in terms of how I run my business and how I view how I'm going to get to my goal of world domination.
Excellent.
You heard it right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So classes, a lot of the corporate stuff like Moxie Works, that kind of stuff, right? Joe and Terry did an open house.
Yeah, they did one. Yeah, we were there to support the team on that. See, they're gonna kill me now because I didn't start with that. I didn't even mention that.
Sorry, I got you guys.
They're gonna crush us.
I'll plug.
Yeah.
Joe also did like a Rising Stars.
Yeah, I was
panel.
in on that one.
He did.
Okay.
Rhett did a couple classes on like content creation, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever you can think of, like.
Yep. You know what?
Stuff.
Okay, I'll tell you this. I told Terry this leaving because I think that in the future I'll probably be teaching one. So I take back everything I said about not attending classes because when I teach one, you bastards better all be there. All right? Seriously. No, but there wasn't one on online lead generation or online lead like conversion,
which is crazy.
I was stunned.
At this point.
So that was what I thought was dumb.
Yeah.
We've reached the dumb part. I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, now who's in control of it? I don't know enough about how the situation is put together in terms of who puts all of the classes together, or who if it's volunteer basis only, or I think that there's a guy that does like Greg or not Greg, but that Terry was telling me that he would put me in contact with, and then I guess you go to them with the material. But it would seem like almost like a no-brainer that someone somewhere that has something to do with this, whether they're a broker or a realtor or a corporate person, would have said, hey, maybe the thing that 95% of people are doing to find their home
might be a good place to start.
Maybe we should talk about that. We should talk about how to work with the people that are coming through these online aggregation systems. How do these online aggregation systems work? What is an online fucking aggregation system? I mean, all of these things and more should have been talked about. So I did think that was stupid.
Next year.
I don't know. I mean,
you need to.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, and I'm sure. Look, I'm not by any means saying that I'm like the nation's like foremost expert. So I mean, that's kind of where I'm like, there's got to be somebody out there that's better than me. I know there is. I know for a fact.
They're not teaching class.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I guess something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Are you converting at a high level or not? You know what I mean?
I am. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, when I came in, I took something from you, right? I was not converting at all.
Right.
And I took a lot from it. So I think anybody could take something from it.
Well, look, I mean, I think everybody's got their niche and what they kind of made their way with, and that just happens to be mine. But yeah, so I thought that was stupid. It was really dumb. I mean, but anyway, so let's focus on some more positives, though. I mean, you asked about some of the content in the classes. I want to talk about some classes in specifics that I actually connected with. The two that I went to. Stephen Vittino's class is great. I think a few of the lessons I took from him, and I'm just going to do brief overviews because a lot of that content you can find, and if I can link to it, if we can link to it maybe in the bio, some of the video stuff, if we can find it, I'll have Stephen send it out. But his was a negotiation class, and what I really liked most about it at a top level way, without getting too granular, because I mean, he had 45 minutes of material, right? I mean,
you turned it into 45 minutes.
Right. Yeah. So to stay as top level, 30,000 foot view of what he was laying down, and the biggest thing I took from what he was saying from a negotiation standpoint is that there's three types of outcomes that are either expected or going to happen or looked for by someone in a negotiation, right? So there's the win-lose, where you're looking to win or beat somebody out on the other side and they lose. Excuse me. There's the compromise, which is where I'd say 99% of the industry lives in terms of their thought process and what they're actually trying to accomplish in a negotiation is a compromise, right?
Yep.
Where it's like you give a little, they get a little.
Yep.
We meet in the middle, we get a deal done. The third one, which is what I talk about all the time, is the win-win. How many times have you guys heard me say win-win? I say it to everyone.
A lot.
Clients, coworkers, brokers, anybody I talk to about the way that I try and run my stuff. But this is what's funny, okay? I have never looked at a negotiation as a win-win in the sense of how I approach it.
I haven't either.
Because I'm always trying to beat them.
Yep, always. That's what negotiation
so
is.
Look, right. Like I said, I was going to be honest. That's what this podcast is about, right? So that was profound to me in a way that I was like, well, shit. So, like, he went into how to achieve that, and I'm not going to go granular, like I said, but the idea was that, look, compromise is fine. You're getting a deal done, whatever. The win-lose scenario is probably the most defective type of thinking in terms of where you both are coming from, because you're both going for a completely different goal.
Yep.
And then the win-win is like saying, okay, look, there is a space, and look, this isn't, one of the things that he did make apparent was like, none of these things are absolutes. There are going to be times and places where some of those things are going to happen, the compromise and the win-lose, right? It can't be helped.
Right.
But there's more of an opportunity for win-wins to take place in the negotiations that are taking place in these real estate transactions than you would ever believe. Quite simply, I think a lot of it comes from your frame of mind going into the negotiation to begin with, right?
Right.
So, I'm not going to teach his class. And I don't think that I could get it conveyed properly anyway, in the way that he eloquently did it. But just kind of give you an overview of what he was saying there, and then tell me a little bit about Brett's class, because I did want to talk to you about that. That was one I wanted to be in on, but it overlapped with Steven's. It was
vice versa. So I was in Joe and Terry's. Yeah.
No, wait. So yes, okay, you were in Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was in Joe and Terry's while you were doing Steven's, which is also one that I wanted to be in. Fortunately, they were right next to each other, right? Mm-hmm. So I actually wanted to ask you about that. We haven't talked about that yet, but Rhett's was like, what, 2 days later?
Yeah, and
another one.
I was in Joe's with Adam Oberski out of Michigan, who owns a brokerage, and then he has one of like a 21-year-old guy who just is like crushing it. He came down and did a mastermind. I wish we could remember his name.
Matt.
I
can't remember his last name.
Yeah, what's funny about this is I probably knew everyone's first and last name before I got there, and then I killed every one of those brain cells.
Yep.
During the week we were there, and now I'm like a blank slate. I'm like, so I know your face. I didn't, but name, that's gone. So
Matt with Adam Oberski's group.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's a great way to say it. There was a couple other folks on the stage with them. Yeah, they were doing Rising Stars, and we'll talk about that too, because I want to plug. You were in Terry, so I want to talk about Terry's open house stuff. I've already seen that, so obviously I wasn't going to that. I wanted to be with Steven. Steven actually had me sitting up on the thing with him up front, and he was picking on me about asking me questions and stuff. So that was
nerd. In front of the class.
Dude, I gave my seat up to some ladies that needed to sit down.
So kind.
Because I'm a gentleman.
So chivalrous.
Chivalry is not dead. Keeping that thing alive.
No, Red's class. That's where we were, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does a thing. It's called Random to Real Estate. So I think it's every letter of the word random is like a pillar of his business, right? So I know he likes to fish. I know he wears a bunch of crazy suits.
Wait, does he do that like in front of clients? Because he's wearing does he?
So in the thing, I think they said he has 60 plus suits in his closet.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
what?
Like Christmas suits, dude. You should see this guy. I'll pull it up for you in a minute.
Christmas suit.
He's a cool guy.
I wonder what he's gonna wear to the podcast.
I don't know.
I need his tell him to wear some craziest shit. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna wear.
Oh,
it'll be a surprise.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe I come as Pickle Rick. Maybe I don't.
We have him. We have Pickle Rick.
you better tune in to find out.
We do have Pickle Rick on standby. Go ahead.
I never got my money for that, by the way.
I'm not going to give you any money.
Oh, my.
No, so he does Random to Real Estate, whatever those pillars of his content are. And his whole class, at least that class, I know he did another one, but his whole class was taking those pillars and making sure the gist of it, right, like boiling it all down is turning every little random thing about your life into content and making sure that you're capturing every moment that you can, right?
Right.
And I know he's got John, I think John edits for him, but the biggest thing with that is just editing your content and putting it out. So that was the whole class.
I did see John following him around quite a bit.
Yeah, I saw a video today on Facebook that they put out of them at 121 Day 2. I mean, yeah, John's awesome.
Okay.
I need a John.
And in the future, guys, we're gonna be able to hone in on video on the screen. We're gonna put a TV in here, but We rolled this out early.
We did.
We wanted to get out there in front of the people.
Just excited.
Graham, where's that TV?
Sitting on my dining room table.
Damn you, Graham. Yeah, so that's really cool. I mean, I was talking to an agent about his philosophy when it comes to content creation. I think I might have been talking to our agents when I got back. That day after is a blur. I was talking to our agents maybe about like content creation, like what is content, what should you be doing. I know what it was. I'm going to shameless plug here. We do a mastermind at 8 a.m. on Clubhouse now. The lovely Sherry Edmonds is a part of, and really she's the driving force behind it in terms of, talking about getting something started. I'm her co-host sometimes and moderator to help her get it off the ground, hopefully, and maybe me and her can combine efforts and get it off the ground and really get it going. But it's really cool. It's like a forum where we don't drop F-bombs typically, and we're not buttoned up. I mean, we're talking candidly, but it's not going to be the shit show this is going to be. But it's probably not going to be as fun.
No.
Should I say that?
I mean,
when I'm plugging something, do I say it's not as fun as this? It's like, is that how a plug works? I don't know. I'm new to podcasting.
That's not a plug, Will. That's a put down.
Damn. So we just cut that right now.
Nope.
No, we're leaving that in.
It's all going to stay there.
No, it was solid. I did my first one yesterday, right? My first mastermind with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was solid.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just an exchange of information. Where were we going with that? Get me back on track here. See, did I drink my ability away to keep it on track?
I think we both did.
Right.
I mean, we're almost halfway through that bottle, so.
No,
Wow.
but there's 3 of us, dude. This is lightweight shit.
That's all right.
All right, whatever.
I don't know.
It's solid.
It is good.
I mean,
It's really good.
How far are we into the podcast?
25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
fine.
wasted in 25 minutes. Maybe I am. Maybe
Did you
the
eat
liver
today?
is done. Maybe this is it for it. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
not doing it anymore. It's like, nope, this is it. I thought we were done. I
Maybe
thought
the filtering is over. Maybe it's
like
taking a
it
vacation.
retired.
Yeah.
Getting back on track.
Right.
You were
Right.
talking about something about the mastermind. I don't know where you were headed with it.
No, I was just talking about an exchange of ideas, I think. Where
Yeah.
were we going with that?
I don't know.
Did we lose it? I lost it.
You were talking to an agent about content creation.
Oh, content
went to
creation.
mastermind.
Okay, yeah. There we go. That's what we're
Yeah.
back on the
Graham's
rails.
The
Look
only
at that.
one.
I got
Yeah.
you. I got you guys.
There you go. Come on, prop me up. So the content creation. So essentially, like I was talking about different forms of content creation and like what it is, and I love the fact that he was bringing into focus like something that people don't necessarily think about. So Sherry was talking about that in terms of like creating a YouTube channel and all this kind of stuff. She's really deep diving on that. I'm going to actually ask her to join us too at some point.
That's a good idea.
But it was interesting to me that he's just taking like a day in the life of a realtor essentially, and then he's chopping it up into consumable bits of content that he's putting out to the general public.
Yep.
Ha, how do you like that?
Nice.
I brought it back. Yes. I'm back, baby.
Well, and that was
knocked the podcast rust off a little bit. All right.
that was the whole point of his thing, right? Is like all the little random things that you do make you a real person to these people, because nobody wants to see like
love
just
that.
listed, just sold, under contract, like. And I'm guilty of it. I do it all the time, like just the random posts with just sold, just listed, just under contract. But it makes you a real person and humanizes you, and that's where people relate to you and want to do business with you. So
I mean, and I think inadvertently, again, I didn't take his class. I think the first iteration of this, and then obviously this one, is very much going to be in line with that. So I when you said that, I was like, that's kind of cool, because we did that without really having a proof of concept like he has, because obviously he's seen some results. He's been doing it for quite a while now. So that'll be, like I said, shameless plug number 10. He's going to be on the podcast with John. Yeah.
Soon.
So I've got to reach out to him. That's going to be can't miss stuff. I think we might go super long. I've already asked him his drink of choice. So.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
What was it?
It was bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah. So we might do some Widow Jane 10-year. I might do 15.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Go in.
No, go in. No, you're not allowed. There's,
okay.
Yeah. No.
I'm done.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
off the
I'm out.
set.
Yeah. Get out. Is this a set?
I think
There's
this is
a
a set.
studio. It's a studio.
Oh, whatever. Same thing.
It's
Interchangeable.
Right. Whatever.
That's right.
All right. So anyway, now in terms of I do want to talk about Joe and Terry's. So my experience with Joe's panel, Joe was great, man.
Just solid.
I got to give it to him. Like sometimes me and him have awkward conversations together where I'm like, well, I don't know what to say next to him. Like, you know what I mean? And I love Joe to death, but we have very different personalities. So we do reach and passes. And as much as I talk, that's weird for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes me feel uncomfortable, to be quite frank with you. But look, I know Joe's got a heart of gold. We just don't have the same communications, like we don't communicate the same way, and we're very, very different people. Having said that, he's a fantastic agent.
He's awesome.
He's one of the best around. If you get a chance to, spend some time with him and learn from him, you should. And so that's one of the reasons I did want to show him support. But I also will tell you, I wanted to see what he had to say about some things. And he had some really, really nice things to say about how he goes about his business on a day-to-day to get to where he was. And I got to be quite frank with you, I thought he was out of place on that panel. Because that was a rising stars thing for people that were just, to me, had only had a limited amount of experience almost.
He's there.
Dude, he's arrived, man. He's been there for a minute. So to me, I mean, great to see him up there, and that's awesome. And I'm sure it was an honor for him to be there. But I thought he would have been more accurately placed in a room of people that had proven track records. Not to say that none of those people did, but they were all very new to the business, whereas I get the rising star idea behind it. But to me, I thought, man, Joe could fit on any panel.
It's his age, man. That's what it is.
You think?
It's his age.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's 28.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
If anybody listening to this podcast right now is thinking about real estate, in real estate, or young and just starting real estate, I think that looking at him and his success, that's a huge thing.
It's a great point, guys.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy I look to,
Yeah.
28 years old and he's killing the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really solid point.
Yeah.
Again, though, I mean, in terms of like his level.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, and no offense to any of the people that were on that panel, but I just want to say that I feel like he could have fit into. I mean, he could have gone right across the street if there was one right across the street. I don't think there was a street outside that door. Right across the ballroom or whatever the hell it was called, the convention center, if there was a room. And he could have sat on a panel with 35-year vets who had been doing hundreds of millions of dollars in business. That's my point. So, again, it just from knowing him, I mean, I was like, man, that's cool. I mean, but, I just love what he did there. So they were talking a lot about like their day-to-day, what got them to where they are. I thought that was like highly consumable information and easy to process. And then all things that I thought there was a lot of great interaction after, like there was a lot of people like chomping at the bit to ask questions. So the interaction, because a lot of these classes are not interactive, like Greg's was like, I'm a badass and I'm going to tell you how to be a badass and there will be no questions.
Yep.
This is how to be a badass, and that's it. Panel, obviously a little bit different format, so it was a little more give and take, but I thought it was solid.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the open house, because was it much different than the the thing they do for the post license?
I don't know. I've not done their post license. So from talking to Terry, their post license thing is usually a 3-hour class, and they condensed it down into 45 minutes.
Okay.
So it's like the same content, just condensed. Yeah. And I will say I rolled into that coming off of my first successful open house that I've ever had.
Yeah, you were stoked to go to that one. I remember.
That's one I really wanted to go to. So I had an open house 2 weeks before, maybe, that had 40 people through over the weekend, and I was just chomping at the bits to get into it.
Did you say chomping at the bits?
Yeah, man.
It's chomping at the bit.
Is it?
Yes.
You gonna give me crap about that right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
we're on a recorded
anyways.
podcast.
Well, whatever. Chomping at the bit, everyone.
Anyway, go ahead.
So,
It's raining
God,
dogs and cats and stuff.
lost some
Somebody
train
cut
of thought
him
here.
off.
Right. Yeah. So honestly, I did take stuff from it. Their big thing was being prepared. They've got a whole schedule broken down of the week before the open house. I can't remember exactly what's in it. Like first day is obviously identifying the open house. And then you're previewing properties 2 days. I think it's 15 minimum a day. So you're really getting to know the neighborhood around it.
Right.
I think it's within 100,000 price point. So if you had a $450,000 house, 400 to 500 is where you're looking, right? And then whenever they're actually at the open house, making sure that you have flyers printed out that have information on local schools, like being the go-to expert in that area, right? Rather than just having information on the listing, right? There's an obvious difference in having the information on the neighborhood and like being well prepared versus just the listing and trying to sell the house. Because that's the thing with people coming into open houses, they don't really want to be sold on the house so much as they're like in an information gathering stage, right? And if you can present yourself as the expert, then they want to work with you. They're more likely to want to work with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's actually really good information.
It was solid.
Go to their class.
It was
the
solid.
post licensing. I actually do need to do the post licensing. I did mine at my first brokerage, which I'm sure was not nearly as good because, I'll be honest, our talent level at results is just
astronomical.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. I like what you said about that part. And if you go back to Realty Check when we were doing that one, Joe was on and he talked about some of the things he does, and I was generally, one of the things I do hosting this is I like to come in completely fresh a lot of ways, like without like we don't talk about what we're going to talk about because I want this to be an organic conversation.
Yeah.
And look, it's going to go off the rails like it did earlier, and you're just going to have to deal with it, listeners. But it's going to be more entertaining, and also I feel like it's going to be more informative because I'm genuinely asking questions from a viewpoint of someone who does not know in a lot of ways and has no idea what direction it's about to go in. But having said that, like with Joe, he talked about some things I've never really thought of with open houses because open houses are not my thing. That's that's a highly relational thing, which I'm about to start getting back involved with. And I think over the course of the next few episodes, we're going to talk about my journey in terms of how I'm going to completely reinvent my business. That is my goal this year. I'm going to take a model that is making a lot of sense financially for me, and I'm going to turn it on its head. I'm going to do something completely different that's going to make me even more money. And we'll get into that moving forward. But one of the elements to this is going to be open houses. It's going to be the relational part of things. And one of the things he was talking about that I found incredibly intriguing was how you handle a very high traffic open house. Yeah. Just simple. You know what I mean? When you think about like open houses, you think about, oh my God, what am I going to bring? What am I going to bake cookies? Am I going to, weird things like that, right? Like what color balloons should I get? Right. There's a lot of weird things going on in your head. Like, you're like, okay, do I put the directional out here? Do I do this? There's a lot going on. How many people are really thinking about how they can effectively and efficiently move people through a house, interact with as many of them as possible if there's a shitload of them coming through, and do it in a way that is going to potentially create business for you or a sale, through using and utilizing the open house.
Well, and I'll say there was even more to that class, to be honest. So I know I can't remember what they called it. It's like X 50, 50, 70, something like that. Making sure that you're asking 50-50 questions. So it's like, is this dining room large enough for you, or would you rather have something a little bit smaller? You know what I mean? Like something like that doesn't trap them into an answer, but you're asking them yes or no questions essentially, right? You're putting them to a 50-50 decision, and you're getting to know their search. And the whole point of these previews is that you're aware of what's going on like around the house, so you're matching them up in real time with the house. And at the end of it, the goal is, okay, well, I've got this house down the road that I think would be a perfect fit for you.
Did you, maybe I missed this. Are they previewing the properties around the open house?
Yeah.
Okay. You did say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Totally missed it.
If I didn't, I am now, right?
No, right.
Yeah.
No, so, I think that's super important too, like moving forward, even beyond open houses. But, a lot of people ask, like, why to preview? Obviously, you need to know your market, but that's a fantastic reason to preview.
Yeah.
Because if you get a listing that you're going to do an open house with, and you've already previewed the neighborhood because it's where you work, it's where you live, it's where you want to do business.
Yep.
It has multi-levels of, that it can break down into advantages for you on multiple levels.
Well, and I'll tell you, that open house that I had, literally the same day we went live, another listing went live, and they hosted an open house the same days that I hosted open houses. So one of the first things that I did without taking this class was I just wanted to check out this open house to see how it compared to our listing, right? Because I know that people in that neighborhood are going to be looking at both of our open houses. We ended up both going under contract that weekend, but I wanted to know how we compared to others. One of the big features with mine was Master on Main, and the other one wasn't, right?
You need to know the competition, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely what you need to do.
Well, and there's even more to it, right? Like with these people coming through, obviously you don't know them, and you're trying to build a relationship with them. You're trying to present yourself as the expert. And if you can say, hey, I just listened to everything you said, and I know exactly a house that is going to be potentially a good fit for you, that's a selling point, and they're more likely to work with you. And I had never thought of it in that light before. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, when you take an open house from a level of not ever doing one, it can seem like the cookie baking and the balloons and the signs are what's important. And that is not what the top level agents, and it's so funny because, I mean, when you see the TV shows,
that's what it is.
Real estate, this and that, or even if there was no TV show, you go into an industry and you're like, all right, well, it's this way. And this is what people, I'm just going to mimic the top level stuff people are doing. But when you really dive in to people that care about their business and like are thinking at that are actually, instead of playing checkers and they're playing 4D chess.
Yep.
It's like, holy shit. There's like this completely whole different world of open houses and the way to run them than I ever thought before, and you get into that, and that I got to be honest with you, somebody that doesn't do them as often as he should, because I am so internet, lead driven, I'm learning something here just from talking to you right now. Like, that's interesting. Like, so you can, to go into a neighborhood to preview it because of that, I do know that. But I mean, what about, like I talked about with Joe talking about how do you cycle people through efficiently? Things like that. Like, you're like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not. I would be all over the place. I'm not. I'm scatterbrained as hell. I mean, everybody knows that about me.
Yeah. Well, and they in their presentation they had 3 separate types of agents, and I may be butchering like the actual names of them, but it was pretty much an aggressive agent, someone that is like moderately aggressive, like that's where you want to be, like somewhere in the middle, and then someone that's super laid back. I tend to be more on the super laid back scale, right? So the open houses that I hosted. That previously, like even the one that was super successful, I'm more of, okay, I'll meet you at the front door, walk through the house, let me know if you need anything, and then whenever they're done, I'll meet up with them after, right? Like, okay, what do you guys think of the house? What are you looking for? Whatever. Their approach is a little bit different. Like, they're meeting them at the front door, seeing if they have an agent, I believe, right? Like, I don't even know if that really matters. And then walking them through the house and asking them questions about their search, not about the house, but about what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's very similar to what Joe said on our previous podcast with him. I mean, and the other thing that I'd be honest, like, that podcast was incredibly eye-opening in terms of open houses, because, like I said, I'm not nearly as versed or experienced with those. Yeah. So I like the idea that he was saying, hey, I'm going in, I'm doing the 50-50. He did mention that. Yeah. And then he's doing like one floor. And then, obviously, if it's dead, that's fine. But, I mean, he also doesn't want to be lording over them. Right. He doesn't want to be, like, in their back pocket. I do that when I'm showing houses to buyers, outside of an open house. But my tactic is completely different. Like, where I'm going in and I'm saying, I'm picking the damn thing apart. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing 50-50. I'm like, that's not right. That's not right. I mean... I also point out good things, but I'm saying, like, a lot of people appreciate that. But mine's much more polarizing, my method. Well, does it work for everybody? No. But my background is based in, this, like, flipping properties. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people appreciate the honesty that I'm not just trying to be like, hey, man, just let's get under contract. I don't want to show you anymore.
I need your money.
The first one. And I'm not doing it for that. That's a byproduct of that method. Yeah. Open houses, though. Like, when you said the 50-50, that's what I brought off of, because I hadn't thought about the 50-50 questions during that, that type of scenario, because an open house is completely different than showing a buyer that you may or may not have rapport with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just different. So doing 50-50 is much more is much more
it's just neutral.
Yeah, it's very antiseptic. It's very neutral. It's very like, I'm not having an opinion one way or the other. I want to gauge what you're looking for, and then you're not, because eventually, I mean, and I've had this happen in the past. Me having that method, I'm sure it's turned somebody off. I mean, there's been more than one buyer in my career. I've been doing this long enough that I never heard from again. Of course. Was it because of that? Probably, at least one.
Yeah.
You know, but with an open house, you have to have a much more docile, much more, you know, look at him going.
I know, look at me. I'm going
hard.
hard.
No ice.
Yeah.
Neat.
I'm
there.
all in the paint.
God. Man.
Yeah.
I know you said to cut me off, but
What now?
I'm going to ride.
Damn it.
Well,
I mean, when
Look
you're
at you nursing it, man.
when in Rome, look, man.
I've never seen this from
Look,
you, Will.
I may not have we just discussed this. Might not even have an operating liver at this point.
That's
we don't
right.
know.
That's true.
I mean, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna find out together. It's
gonna work.
Ride
It's
or
not.
die, baby. Look at that.
Cirrhosis.
I actually just way over poured. That was
There you
not
go.
intentional.
That's why you're nursing. If you had told me when we met that you would be nursing a drink on a podcast and I would be like just going hard, I would have laughed in your face, dude.
Student has become the teacher.
Right? I'll cheers to that.
All right, young grasshopper.
No, but getting back to the neutral, this is the thing, right? With the neutral questions in an open house, you're not trying to be an over salesman in the open house. Like you don't want to sell them on the house because that's a put off. But you also don't want to be picking it apart because it very well could be the house that they like. I mean, we know like 95% of the people, probably more than, are not going to buy the house.
Well, I mean, look, like I said, I mean, it's definitely a different setup.
It's
I mean,
different.
you're representing the home's owner. So, I mean, you obviously do not want to be like, hey,
this is
bullshit. Like right here, look at it. Look at the crown work. I mean, they didn't even caulk this.
Yep.
For God's sake, you know, you don't want to be doing. I get that, and I don't do that. I've never done that in an open house, but I'm also not doing 50-50s either.
Yeah.
I'm more like, oh, do you like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see the value in it, right?
Yeah,
Like
I mean, I love giving them an option because then you're presenting the opportunity for them to give you their negative outlook, like their negative critique, without them feeling like they're putting down the house to your face.
It allows them to elaborate. Like if you ask them yes or no's, they could just literally say no, and it's over, right? Like you don't know anything about their search, but it allows them the chance to elaborate without feeling like they're putting the house down. You know what I mean?
Look, I want to continue this, but I mean, I just don't feel like that we can keep this going. Because of Terry and them, they're just going to eat this up. And they're like, wow,
I know
how much time they spent
we gotta stop
our
hyping
class. Well, look, all right, that makes up for not mentioning them off the jump. I mentioned 2 classes. I didn't even take theirs. Like, whatever.
Look, I will say, if you're getting into the business, I obviously built mine off of online leads, right? Like that's how I went about it to begin with. If you are able and have people in your brokerage with listings, obviously you're not coming in with listings. Open houses are a phenomenal way to grow your business.
Joe did it. That's how Joe does it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how he did it. Yeah,
man.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's just, you know, I interviewed a new agent today who just so happens to line up perfectly with what I want to do. I mean, her first thing was like, I don't want to cold call and I don't want to door knock.
Yep.
And a lot of teams were like, well, it's not work for us.
Sorry.
It's not a fit.
Yeah.
I mean, it just so happens it fits me perfectly because I don't want to do that shit either. I mean, and I do some of it, and I did start my career doing some of it and all of it. The cold calling, I will always do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do that. I mean, circle prospecting, things like that. I mean, expires. I mean, to me, I'm just now getting more into that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to do it. But she was speaking my heart there because I never did that, and I still built a great business. And so I think that I think this should be everyone's takeaway from a conference like this, just generally. There are so many ways to succeed at real estate, and that is truly the most awesome part about this industry. Is that, you know, Greg's way or my way or your way or Jeff's way or Terry's way, like none of it is like, oh, you can only do it this way. Like it's one of those unique industries where there are so many paths to success that it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
and it's almost sensory overload. And I feel like a lot of newer agents feel sensory overload.
Yeah.
I actually listened. Valentina is a new agent in our brokerage who asked Greg Harrelson on the follow up to the 121. He did a what do you want to call that? Was that like
it was a Q&A?
It was a Q&A
Yeah.
off of what he presented, which I thought was masterful, by the
Yeah.
way, him doing that. Like, so I was even in on that. I asked him a great question there, and he answered it. And she actually asked the question before me, and she was like, part of her questioning was like she didn't know where to focus her time. There's so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many shiny objects. It's like if you're 8 years old and you're like teleported into the middle of a Toys R Us. What fucking aisle do I go down? I'm just gonna freeze. Yeah, I'm gonna lose my shit as a child. Like, I'm not gonna know what to do. I'm gonna have decision paralysis.
Yeah.
You know, and I really feel. Did I just date myself with Toys R Us? It's
Yeah.
only out of business.
Yeah,
They're out of business.
Do you know what that?
I do.
Know what that is?
I do. When I was a
Okay.
kid, they were still around.
Okay, you're 27. Okay, thank
Yeah.
God.
You had
Okay.
Lotto Playworld, Toys R Us,
Right.
KB Toys.
Yeah, now
I
is
don't know
KB
the other
Toys still
ones.
around?
No, no.
Damn.
They were in all the
That's
malls,
sad.
right?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I still enjoy going down the toy at Target from time to time. When I can. It's like, man, that would have been a cool toy if I'd have been a kid. Like,
Yep.
Hey. Anyway, that's stupid. Why did I say that in
all
public?
good.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm a kid
Well,
at
we're not in
heart.
public.
I'm a child at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I mean, what I'm getting at here is that, like, you know, I think that there's a lot there. That is something to love about the industry,
For sure.
and I'm incredibly romantic about it because of that.
Yeah.
But it's also debilitating as a new agent, and I can get that.
Well, and I was actually thinking this earlier today. Like, Greg and Terry are both like super heavy hitters in the brokerage, right? In Century 21, they're both heavy hitters. And
I want to say this about before you keep going,
Yeah.
to kind of quantify this. I think Greg Harrelson and Terry Swanson are two of the most respected brokers in Century 21.
Yeah.
And I think they're two of the most respected and like just successful. Just I'm telling you, I think that they're renowned nationwide
Yeah.
at the very minimum. They hold that much weight in my eyes. And going to the conference, seeing what was super cool to me, and I'm sorry to hijack
Yeah,
your
do your
point,
thing.
but I mean, seeing Terry and like the reverence that a lot of people have and the respect
Yeah.
that he's given, and having side conversations about Terry with people that know him outside of his earshot, obviously,
Yeah.
and he doesn't even know about these conversations, but them talking about like how incredibly respected he is and how much they respect
Man.
him makes me so fucking proud
Yeah.
to be a part of this
Me too.
brokerage. It makes me know, like, wow, like I just feel like I won the lottery of brokers, and I know that's like, you know, come on,
Yeah.
like, you know, I mean, a little over the top, but I mean, I'm being dead serious.
Me too.
Like,
Me too.
it really was and is like even at Rise, but now and then going into the Century 21 conference, that was pretty cool because
Yeah.
I've always heard, and everybody says like, oh man, Terry's super respected, blah blah. But I mean, I felt like I got respect because
of
I was
Terry.
affiliated
Yeah.
with him.
Likewise.
And that is like the ultimate sign of respect from people.
Yeah. Everybody I met knew Terry. Everybody I talked to.
When I asked my question on Greg Harrelson's Q&A today, he was like, because it was a very high level question, and I'm not trying to big time anybody or say, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm asking
Yeah.
you the best questions.
Yes, he is.
Got the caviar of questions coming out of my mouth.
Will's
you
big
know?
timing.
Oh, totally big time. But I had an intricate question because I know the inner workings of his business, so I wanted to ask something that only somebody with that knowledge would know, and because I was going for a specific answer.
Yeah.
And so he was like, by the way, this is going to be a complicated answer because it's a very high level question. Just so you know, this is Will. He's works with a very close friend of mine, and he even referenced Valentina and Will work with and with the brokerage that Terry Swanson runs. And like just for him to say, Greg to feel
Call
the
out
need
Terry
to even
and
say
that,
that is like, well, that was completely unnecessary. But he did, you know. I mean, I think that everybody on the call was like, oh yeah, Terry Swanson,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's the guy. Well, look, and getting back to my point, I guess they're both heavy hitters, and I'll throw Steven Votino in there too because
Steven's awesome.
So look, all
He's one of
three
my
of them
favorite
have
people.
separate styles. Terry's a traditional guy, right? Open houses, that kind of stuff. Greg is a phone banger.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a call center up there,
call center,
right?
dude.
And
Yeah.
Steven's online. And all three are super successful and well respected in the
Yeah,
business.
dude, that's a great point, man. I couldn't have said it better. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just so many ways to do this. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ron Posner and Adam Klein.
Stein.
Adam Stein. Did I say Klein?
Steiny.
I'm feeling this.
I got you, dude.
Better pick me up. I'm telling you, like, I mean, I don't usually, I don't start flubbing things on the podcast. I'm usually all the way to the end before this happens.
It's been a rough week for Will.
Oh my God. 42. I feel like I'm now 52 after last week. Either way.
Young.
Yeah, Adam
Stein.
Adam Stein.
Yes.
No, he's a
Of
cool.
Posner Stein.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know the name.
I'm calling them out.
I just said their last
I'm
names.
hyping them up, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
But they're in a completely different market too. Like, I mean, Ron shows up in like a Hawaiian shirt and like chilling and like he didn't give a shit.
I remember that conversation.
Adam, I'm not going to go too far into why Adam's laid back, but Adam was like just a chill guy, like just
Yeah.
very cool. I had a great experience with both those guys. Completely different market. And I know that Harrelson likes to say, well, I mean, it's all the same market. You know, people are buying and selling houses.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're in a very, like, there's a lot going on in Florida that isn't
Vacation
going anywhere
market,
else.
yeah.
I mean, well, not even that, but just like international destination.
Yeah.
Like, people go there for a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think that they're selling a lifestyle
Yep.
on top of like an actual material object.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, seeing like the differences in the cultures, because there's like, what's interesting is every broker, and I don't know, I would love to talk to Terry about what he thinks in terms of like the differences in the way things are run in certain places.
Yeah.
Is it manipulated by geographical location? Is it manipulated by the cultures and the people that live in those geographical locations? Is it like a myriad of all of it? You know, are there certain ways to run a brokerage that wouldn't work in certain other areas? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I don't either.
And I'm wondering if he does. He may not know, but I mean, I'm wondering. But it was so interesting to see the eclectic nature
Yeah.
of bringing all those forces together, and then all of them are incredibly successful.
Yeah.
At just crazy high levels.
Yeah.
So, you know, when somebody says, do it this way, and this is what you do it, you can be like,
Yep.
because that's not true, man.
Just pick what you're comfortable with and roll with it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it. You know?
I agree.
You
Where
get
are we at
stuck.
on time?
1 hour.
1 hour.
Really?
I always do that.
You do. You
I've got
did it
like
at
an
the
internal-
1 hour mark. It's pretty good. That's
I've got
not
like
bad.
an internal clock on. I mean, we could keep going. Maybe
Probably.
we do. You want to keep going?
Your call.
What do you think, Jeff?
I'm down. What time is it? My watch is wrong.
I do want to say this. If we decide to
6:35.
cut part of it and make a part 2 or something, I do want to say this. I'm incredibly happy to be doing this again. One of the reasons that we kind of put this on hiatus is because we had a lot of changes going on with our team and the way we were doing business, and then a lot of growth, which is quite frankly awesome. And I've made a new devotion to doing this type of content because this is the type of content I really love to do.
Me too.
It incorporates like things people want to hear about. I can be me.
Yeah.
I can be a real person. We have video.
Yeah.
Which is part of the Tom Ferry thing and the whole drive toward video. It incorporates a lot of things I enjoy. I'm hanging out with 2 of my best bros here.
Yep.
Jeffo, welcome back.
Thank
Fist
you.
bump, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Grambo, which we all know
Grambo.
about. Everybody go to Facebook
Yep.
and look at. You can friend me,
I
Will
can't believe it's
Hudson,
been a year.
on Facebook. You can see a image depiction of why we call Grambo. Mowing down the competition.
You know it.
Yep. What is that gun? Was that a machine gun? Like you
I
just
don't know.
man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I said in the post, I mean, I just brought you on for the rock hard abs.
I mean,
That's right.
that's why, right?
That's it. My
I
wife
did
was
want to
jealous.
say. I did want to say that the Netflix documentary is not what I said it was in the beginning. It is Heist. And that covers.
Oh, when they stole all the.
Correct.
That's
That
right.
covers the Pappygate heist.
That's right.
So I
That's right.
wanted to
And
correct
Pappy
myself on that.
Van Winkle.
Young Jeffrey over here.
Look, he's coming in. He's fact checking us.
I know.
He's doing it right.
It's
He's
awesome.
doing it right. He's no CNN. I'm not getting political. Yeah. So So anyway, guys, no, I mean, we can keep the conversation going. Maybe we split into maybe
Probably.
We can do part two.
I mean, we
Part
haven't
two.
even gotten into like the ISA stuff or anything of
Well,
that
I mean,
nature.
I don't know if we're going to go that route, but I mean, I do want to talk more about 121 because I think there's more to talk about.
Yeah,
there.
there's definitely more to talk about.
So, I mean, all right. So, if you had to grade it on a scale from 1 to 10 of what your expectations were, and not like how good it was,
Yeah.
but from what your expectations were, if they were a 5,
Yeah.
versus what they ended up being in terms of your level of like what you find being productive use of your time. And obviously you're going from 5 to 6 in the positive and from 5 to 4 in the negative. Where would you put it?
Well, and I don't know that I would actually be able to do that, to be honest.
Really?
Like, yeah, I mean, it was a good experience, right? Like, I got a lot out of it. I feel like the biggest thing.
That means Graham is afraid to say that it was in the negative.
It was not a negative.
Are you sure?
It just wasn't. It wasn't at all what my expectations were, because I was going in with like expectations of
It's -7. Mark it.
What were you thinking that it was
Right.
going to be? Did you think it was going to be more regimented?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I go
That was
about.
going to be a fucking boot camp.
Yeah. Well, that's how I go about my life, right? Like, I'm trying to be more regimented with everything.
Shockingly, okay, are we not very similar in that way?
Yeah.
If you watch this podcast, you'd think like Will
Oh,
just
it's a
shows
show.
up like with like a koozie and a light sky in his hand.
I like that jacket though.
Oh, you like that?
I'm digging the
Isn't it
jacket,
badass?
man. I like that jacket.
Dude, every time I see it, I'm
Right?
like, man.
Yeah.
And the
You
hat.
can't buy it,
I like the
dude.
hat,
Then we're
man.
gonna
The
look-
Braves
it's gonna be
hat.
this Braves
Epic,
hats.
dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
This might be the hat is definitely probably going
I
to
like
come
the
back
hat.
for every podcast because it's repping my favorite team.
I'll bring my.
Whatever.
You said I didn't have the neck for the hat, the Georgia hat.
You don't. It made your head look angular and weird. Look, man, I'm here for like real level,
Yeah.
honest critique, man. I don't want you going out there into the
all
wild looking like some.
I'll bring it on the
pinhead.
next one, and we'll let the people be the judge, right?
Man of the people. That is actually my motto this year. I'm going to be Will Hudson, man of the people. Seriously. No.
What were we talking about? Yeah, no, but I really
now I've
think,
thrown you off. The
I know
rails.
you definitely did. I really thought that it would be more regimented. Obviously, we are all in control of our schedules and that thing. So I just kind of thought like, yeah, I'll be in classes the whole time, and then you meet some cool people, and they're all doing a high level of business, and you realize that you can learn more by having relationships with these people than you could in the classes.
That's a fantastic way to put it. And look, I mean, again, I don't want to, bust balls on like, classes aren't worth it or blah, blah, blah. I mean, I know there's a lot of agents that went there and
There are
did
people there,
exactly that.
yeah,
They
that
hit
absolutely went to
every
class.
single event. I mean, there were like all these like, so you have to qualify like a certain level of production to be in certain things. And like, I had like 2 or 3 people being like, hey, so are you not a top producer or something? And I was like,
Yeah,
I mean,
Grand Centurion.
didn't you see the badge? I'm Grand Centurion, which is like,
I
is
got
that
so
the
much
highest
pop-
or one of the highest?
I think it's the highest.
It's one of the. I don't even
It
know
is
what
the
it means.
highest, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah,
I don't
and-
think so.
How does
think it
one
is.
become a grand centurion?
Be-
Well,
Will Hudson.
log on to willhudson.com and he'll show you for an easy fee of $19.99. So anyway, we get these stickers on your badge that kind of show you like, show like, hey, and you earned it, whatever. But I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, yeah, but what are you talking about?
All it really did
well,
was
there's
get
like
you a
a
voucher.
luncheon and this and that.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of missed a boat on that because I was doing other types of networking in terms of talking to people in a less put together scenario. Look, this is my first one, man.
Yeah.
This is your first
Plenty
one.
more
Yeah,
to
dude.
come.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing them from now on. I mean, I find real value in them.
I do too.
And like you said, I find it there. Now the next one, I really kind of want to see. Then I'll probably switch it up. I'll probably do some more classes for sure, just to be in there. I'm probably going to teach one.
Yeah.
After talking to Terry, I think that's probably definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I think that, on top of that, probably need to go to the cocktail party and get drunk with rich people.
I agree.
Well, we already did that.
I know.
Yeah, but other rich people. I mean, not the party people. I like the tight people,
Yeah.
the people that are like buttoned up people. Like I'll have to actually bring a
that's
suit for that one.
That's the thing about this conference, right? It really brings into focus like this is a belly to belly business, right? Like you get so caught up in being in the office and making your phone calls and all that stuff, but ultimately it's the relationships that you make, right? And that's like from this thing, that's the biggest thing that I could take out of it is, hey, just be more involved in your community, and you're gonna be fine.
That is really it. I mean, guys, I kind of want to go into something else while we have some time. I mean, where are we at now? I mean, do we have time to make a part 2? I mean,
Yeah,
let's
sure.
make this one long.
Do whatever we want.
We can.
It's like an episode of Rogan,
That's right.
4 hours.
Gonna go Rogan.
Yeah, he does like at
we're gonna
least 3
go-
hours.
Dude, listen, we this is way off topic. We listened to a Rogan episode on the way down to Florida because we drove.
Yeah.
we drove the Tesla. The spaceship.
did
It drove. I should say.
You know they
drove
will not
itself.
drive into themselves.
What now?
Yeah. So there's a thing in their programming that you will not crash into a Tesla ever.
What?
They
they all
will
need to be
not
Teslas.
crash into each other.
That's
It's
interesting.
impossible. Yeah.
Well, we had a mishap, but it was the car's fault. It just like instantly braked. It was
Yeah,
weird.
it was just, dude, it was the most random
So
thing.
for people that don't know, I have an S model, and we, I was just like, I hate flying. Okay, I'm gonna be. We're
Why?
being real. We're sharing. We're in the
It's a control
circle of
thing.
trust,
I love
right?
flying.
We're in the circle of trust.
Yeah.
I fucking hate flying.
Why?
It scares the
Yeah.
shit. It scares the shit out of me. First off, both my sisters were flight attendants. One still is. I've heard every horror story you can imagine. And if you didn't know, I'm a goddamn control freak.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the safest form of travel.
Listen, I get that, but I'm not steering it. That's a problem for me.
I think that's a good thing for
I think
you.
that's a control thing.
Look, if I learned I could fly a jet plane, all right, I'd be fine. Did I call it a jet plane?
Yeah.
Jet fighter,
Yeah.
fighter jet, whatever.
Chomping
you
at the
want to
bits.
Ooh, man.
Touche.
See, I could do it now.
Coming in hard.
Let's get our pilot's license, Will. We'll
man,
be flying the plane.
man, I would do that
I would do that
just to show you I could.
Right.
Anyway, my point is, I don't like to fly, so we drove, and I like road trips. I mean, we listened. The plan was to listen to Atomic Habits, damn it, which is
did
a
not
great
happen.
book.
Not one word of Atomic Habits.
No, we listened to the Weinstein podcast with
Eric
Joe
Weinstein.
Rogan. That
Yep.
thing was like 4 hours. So between us conducting business, because we're taking calls, and that's one of the reasons I like to, drive.
Yeah.
Too, if it's drivable, right, is to be able to work. I work a lot and we let the car drive. We switch off driving, whatever. We get calls on whatever. And I know that sounds counterproductive, but if you're sitting in the airport experience sucks.
Yeah.
To do that in. So we're driving down and we're doing all that, and this podcast ran 4 hours. We didn't even finish
We didn't finish it. Yeah.
on the trip down.
Really?
It's like
Yeah.
an 8-hour drive,
It was
and we didn't
nuts.
finish
What?
it.
Yeah, and it was weird. It was because we're both engineers, so there was it was all about
It was like-
physics and shit. Like it was like I kept looking at her. I was like, dude, if you don't understand what's happening right now, what they're talking about, I'll turn it off. And he's like, nope, I'm right with it. I was like,
So
this is
into it.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It was some super nerdy shit.
It started
Huh.
off as UFO stuff.
Yeah, that
like
was
that.
so.
I'm in on
and dude, I'm a huge. I want to be abducted. So
Can you imagine? Honestly,
I wanna see what
infinite
they-
universe.
like, dude.
No one else around. Come
show me the
on.
perfect
Come
search,
on.
real estate search technology, please. Show me how I can match a bio algorithm with like the perfect search where I can match everybody on the human planet
Seriously.
with what's going on with real estate.
I mean, honestly, look at Chat GPT. I mean, it will literally write
God,
a whole
have we
script.
gone
for
into
you.
We
Chat-
could go
It'll
into
do
that.
everything.
That was a class at 121.
Was it really?
They
Did
a
you go to
ChatGPT
that?
class. I did
Was
not.
it?
See, I don't need to go to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, it's all about prompts.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody wants to know, we should probably do a podcast on Chat GPT.
Honestly, pro tip, like I use that to write my
All descriptions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You could, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
put in-
amazing.
Yeah, I put
yeah,
in
I checked
everything
into
that
it.
I like about the
Square-
property.
So Square had a piece of land, and this is weird, but I hate writing descriptions, and I'm
too.
actually a pretty decent writer. But
It just takes so much time.
because I am a perfectionist.
Yeah, it
And
takes
I'm
like an
just
hour.
Like I'll edit it and break it down and edit it and edit, and it's almost like the kid that's got paralysis
Yeah.
in a candy store. I have that shit going through my brain in terms of verbalization of word structure and shit. And so it will literally take me an hour to write one paragraph. And like, this is ridiculous. I plug this in, I give it like prompts like, hey,
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like, bang. We did that for a lot. And Jason looked at me and goes like, I mean, is that better than something you could come up with? And I was like, yeah, it's like so much better.
Well, and you can edit it to sound like yourself, right? Like,
You
that's the
can.
thing.
All you have to do is you have to prompt it to, like, what is the prompt? It's like, act as if you are a real estate agent doing this task.
Right.
And then it will come across as that type of, I don't even know what the wordage or the verbiage would be for this, but it almost comes off as the pros that someone would use if they were that type of, in that type of industry. Whatever.
Yeah, so I've done it on one listing now, about to be two, but I literally just said, hey, write a listing description for a property. These are the things that I like about the property, and it wrote the most eloquent description that I've never had one like it.
And listen, if you didn't know, I can get long-winded. Guess what? I can get long-winded with my writing too. So it's like clear cut, concise, boom, put it out, done. So I was actually a big fan of that.
Do I need to tell the bus story on the Tesla? I feel like we started that and didn't finish it.
What were you talking about?
Where it just stopped in the middle of the road.
Stop, dude.
It literally stopped, dude.
So we had self-driving engaged, and he was driving back because that was my deal. I was like, look, man, I'm gonna be in bad shape.
I didn't realize I would be in bad shape too.
Well, I told him, I was like, dude, I'm not. Well, I thought that there was gonna be some party, which we'll talk about the party. There's going to be like this kickoff party. And I was like, man, if this is anything like the last realtor, because you have to understand, this is only my second real estate event. Because I've really just been solely focused on building my business, and this is all ancillary nonsense to me, right? But now I'm seeing value in it. I'm like, oh man, I should have been doing this from the start. Because you can't quantify it. It's like everything else. Like, it's so strange. And I'll get to this point in a minute that you were talking about. But I do want to say this. If you're a newer agent, a lot of these things we're talking about, networking and everything, it sounds like a bunch of jargon. Yeah. It sounds like a bunch of like corporate speak or like, because you can't attach a dollar figure to it.
No.
It's really hard to attach a dollar figure to it. All of these activities that I had thought of as, because I need to quantify something. I need to make it real. I need to do it by way of math or attaching a number to it, or I need to touch or feel it. One of the two, right? That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
And if I can't do that, it's almost freaking impossible for me to justify it being a productive activity.
Yep.
Right? And there's a lot of people like this, and even they don't have the type of mind that I have in terms of the way that I think.
Yeah.
Because I think in a very abstract way, I would say, opposed to most normal people. But you subconsciously think that way. Because when typically people think, they say, okay, I'm going to do an action for a set amount of time, and that is going to equal so many dollars. That's the hourly kind of thought process. People that are hourly. People that start businesses, and one of the reasons that hourly people, which I was, and when you go to salary, it's much easier to become an entrepreneur because you don't equate time anymore with a dollar figure. You equate tasks to a dollar figure. And this is just me, a stream of consciousness. I'm not referencing anything. This is the way that I think. This is what's going through my head, right?
I got you.
So if you take those things into account, it's very hard. So you have two different trains of thought where you're essentially thinking like, hey, I do X, Y, and Z equals this, right? You're doing algebra in your head. You don't have a quantity for the action you're taking, but you do have an end result. Okay? With salary, same type of thing in retrospect when you think about, okay, well, I do these tasks. These tasks are situated with an end result, a number, okay? Networking has none of that. It's literally an algebraic sequence without a number involved. It's it's only letters. How do you solve that? How does the human brain solve that and quantify it? People that are typically looking to start businesses want to start them and do actions that have a number attached to them, is my point, right?
Yeah.
So networking doesn't have such a number. But something I realized very quickly in October in Vegas, and then now and it's even further been reinforced. And the only reason I went to this thing, because I wouldn't have gone to this thing if I had not gone to Vegas.
Yeah.
I know I would have. Like, dude, it's cost me thousands of dollars to do this.
Yeah.
How am I going to get my return? Well, this is how. I've just made a relationship with Betsy over here in Seattle,
Yep.
who's across the country, who is eventually going to run into somebody that wants to move to Atlanta.
Yep.
And guess what? Because she likes me a whole lot,
She's
and
gonna call you.
I'm super freaking funny.
Yep.
And I danced on a table or something, which I didn't do, by the way.
Wait,
None of
what?
that happened. No, that didn't happen.
He definitely did.
I'm just saying, I'm making a hypothetical situation where I did something memorable to her, or not to her.
Wow.
Whoa.
Back that up a little
Not
bit.
to her, around her, or I don't even want to say with her. Around her, she observed something that was memorable about myself. Did I do that right? Look, there's alcohol, folks. There's lots of alcohol. That person is going to bookmark me in their brain, and when they think about Atlanta, they're going to think about me.
Yeah.
Also, I got her information, so I'm going to follow up with her like I do a client now.
Yep. She's in your preferred partners list.
Yep.
Give her a call, see how our business is going.
I don't hear it, dude. I know that you created
I know.
that thing inside our system.
Yeah,
without my
I was thinking
knowledge.
way ahead.
You were.
Yep.
It's a good call. Anyway, that's an inside joke. But no, I mean, so that to me is the formula that doesn't connect with a lot of people. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about these events.
Yeah.
Is that you can't attach a number to them.
No.
Sorry, guys. Not going to happen.
No.
No number.
Well, and honestly, you get so much from these people anyways. Like, honestly, we definitely got something from Greg and Steven and Joe and Terry. We got enough from them to more than make up for the amount that we spent going to Orlando. You know what I mean?
no question. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not.
even without referrals.
I'm not even thinking about the money. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I mean, I know that some people do, and they will, especially newer agents, are
Yeah.
going to be like, oh my God, I just spent whatever
Yeah.
they spent to go down there and travel, tickets, all
Yeah.
this stuff. And I get that. For me, I'm in a different place where I'm kind of like, okay, well, and I don't even quantify it anymore in that way. Like I said, I got a couple guests on my podcast. I've got a couple referral partners now. I've strengthened relationship with brokers who are also referral
Yeah.
partners for me, my office, and my team. So those are all, to me, these are Warren Buffett moves.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't attach a number to them. Warren Buffett's main thing is, well, when people ask him, they think that he's going to have some complicated answer. But if you distill down what Warren Buffett says about why he's so rich, is because he just bets on America continuing to make a lot of money.
Yep.
That's it. Over a long period of time. That's his whole fucking strategy.
Yep.
Like, you'd think there's number crunchers and mathematicians and scientists doing the science behind the scenes for this guy, and he's or he is the genius.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, man, I'm just betting that American business and the entrepreneurial spirit of the American
Yep.
will come through, and their energy and their ideas and their creativity will overall grow the American economy, and I just bet on that.
Yep.
That's his whole freaking thing. How many times have I hit this?
A few.
3.
Does it look bad on camera? Does
Jeff's
it look like I'm
counting.
No,
belligerent?
not unless you bring it to a forefront.
And
which you've
now-
just done. So
It looks bad.
Oh, it's fine. Look, we're all about honesty. We're in the tree of trust. I thought we were in the tree.
you were in the circle of trust.
I thought it might have been a bush.
It's definitely a
It's
circle.
a circle.
Is it a circle?
It's definitely a
circle. Yeah.
Who decided that?
You did.
Did I?
Yeah,
You started
You
it.
started the
At
circle.
what point was the circle established?
A while ago, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, like
Yeah. you
15
did a
minutes
while
in,
ago.
maybe.
Maybe.
Sorry,
at
guys.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
I
like a
didn't-
good place to end it.
You fucked it up.
Could be. I mean, this thing may have crashed and burned long ago. I'm not real sure.
It's all good. We're an hour and 20 minutes in. We're good to go.
I mean, we could just make this the whole complete episode.
We
I
could.
love DJ Jazzy Jeff over here.
That's right.
Like, we're good to go.
That's right. We're good to go.
Yeah, I'm down. Look, guys, we're now headed to a Mexican restaurant.
That's right.
That's going to serve
More alcohol.
more alcohol.
Lots of
margaritas.
margaritas.
Yeah, margaritas. We're down for margaritas. Margarita Friday, probably.
Yeah.
Boom. Listen, guys, I really appreciate everybody joining in with us. I hope you continue to listen to us. We're going to be irreverent. We're going to be weird. This is going to get real weird.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. If
Yeah.
you don't want it to get weird, if you don't want to have the uh-oh feeling bestowed upon you,
Yeah.
you should stop right now.
It's going to be like climbing the rope in gym class. That's how weird it's going to be.
I don't know what that means.
I'm
weird.
curious.
It
I wanna
is-
dive in. I want to dive into what
Okay.
happened on the
Come on
rope.
now.
for
I mean,
Jeff.
that was weird to me. I mean, so I guess you're making. I
wow.
mean, that may.
Did I bring it back too far? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
It got weird, and that's what we were talking about.
Yep.
So,
All right.
listen, guys, thank you for joining. If you like more of this, continue to listen. Click on our websites, on our YouTube page, on our Spotify. We're on all the streaming services. So we'll have that all in our bio. We'll continue this conversation. I think that there's a lot to be had. There's a lot of productivity that we're throwing out there into the ethos. And, look, there's a lot of fun in between. So continue staying with us, and love you guys, and keep rocking and rolling in real estate.
Yep.
Adios.
Thanks, guys.